Hi, I'm Pete, and welcome to Just a Few Acres Farm. I got a mixed bag video for you today. The first half of the video is working in the shop on the 504, figuring out what's wrong with existing hydraulic valves, taking them apart, putting them back together, getting that tire apart and seeing where the leak is. And then the second half of the video is just as crappy as can be. I mean, it is wall-to-wall BS, knee-deep, Hillary and I. Yep, it all falls apart. So stay tuned and enjoy. First, the hydraulic valves. There's two here, two levers. This one is a 3-position lever. It's in what I would call neutral now. Lower, and it's got a detent there at lower till pressure comes up and it snaps back, and then up, and it's got a detent there till pressure comes up within the valve, and then it'll snap back. This one is hard to work when it's cold or not running. There we go. And then this one's a 4-position valve. It's got lower here with a detent. If you keep pushing it, it'll float. And if you go back to neutral and go up, it's supposed to have a detent up here. And what happens when the tractor is running, especially after it warms up for about 5 or 10 minutes, is you really got to pull on this to get it to actuate, to raise the loader. And there's something going on here. I'm not sure what. This is the back side of the valves. The spools come into these pipe sections and the detents are housed in here. So step one is to make sure the detent isn't adjusted improperly or that there's crud back in here jamming up the works, because that does happen. That's loose. Back in front now, we can take the valve lever off or separate it from the spool. Spool's the end, this thing right here, that's the end of the spool sticking out. And there's just a pin that goes through. There we go. Spool rear end fell onto the floor when I yanked that lever off, and the spool comes out the back. It's bindy. There we go. There isn't a lot to a spool valve. This is the spool, and these indentations here, when it pulls back and forth, they line up with different ports in the valve body, the big piece of metal that it rides within, to allow hydraulic fluid to go to different areas. So, you know, when you hit it onto supply, it pushes it out and pushes the cylinder up. Retract it, comes back the other way, float, it kind of lets it be, you know, equal pressure. There's an O-ring where it seats into the body here. And the only seal is this O-ring at the back. And then there's an O-ring in the valve body in the front. And it relies on fit through here. The oil won't escape, or not very much oil will escape from one side to the other. So that's why I say these are precision fit, matching spool to valve body, and you can't just swap them around. This rear section is the detent section. There's two little balls that ride in these holes. This back here, there's a screw head here, and what that does is allows you to adjust the detent. That is the release pressure for the valve. Oh, and I got a torn O-ring there. That's no good. This is supposed to turn independent of this, but it's jammed, which is another sign of an issue. Let me get a bigger screwdriver. Like I said, this screw you can turn in and out through this hole in the back of the valve to adjust the detent pressure when the valve will pop back to neutral. Inside this piece that's screwed out of here is the actuator piston. Often the reason that the detents don't work in there in these is because this actuator valve that's in here gets crudded up with junk, rust, and then this back end gets water in it and rust, and it's just a mess, and then nothing works right. There we go. This little piston from Case IH with its teeny tiny O-ring here, I can't remember how much they were. 50 bucks last time I had to buy some. Yeah. It looks all right. I don't think that's the problem. But we'll clean everything up and then put it back together. You want to make sure that flows. Yep, that's the pressure relief valve there, or triggers the detents. So that's good. The detent grooves are right in here that the balls seat into and they get pushed outward. I'm going to put all this back together, but I've shown this before the last time I worked on the 504 way back in the video library, so I'm going to abbreviate this part. This grease sticks these detent balls in place until everything is together. Wouldn't be a project unless I forgot to assemble something in proper order, and I did. You go on there, you go on there, you go in there, and it all goes in here. Yep. That O-ring will seat against the valve body when I put it together. Slide her back in with everything lubed up. What's that, a piece of dirt? Oh, that's a notch. This plug stays out for now because that's how you adjust the detent pressure. Hook the lever back up. Well, let's give her a try. Back together. Seems to be smooth operation now. I don't have the detent set, so they're not staying. The valves work great, but it's leaking something terrible down here, and I looked and looked at it. This banjo bolt here was leaking. This is stacked 2 lines on top of the left valve, and then it's leaking between the stack here, and there's O-rings, but it really, when it hits high pressure, it's almost a stream coming down. Nuts. I need to take a break from the hydraulics. I think I'm going to have to take apart those stacks and banjo fittings. I want to show you this. It came today. It's called the Bead Buster. It's a bead breaker for tires. I'm pretty tired of either beating on it with a bead breaker and a hammer, or sometimes I get the excavator out, but it ain't very good for the tire. So this thing's supposed to be super heavy duty. Made in the USA, and we'll see how it works. So these 2 feet latch underneath the rim, and this does too to begin with, and then this bolt pushes this foot down to push the tire bead off of this step in the rim, and you use this bolt here to seat it. This foot is reversible, so you can pull it all the way out and turn it around. I've got the longer foot set here. It also came with a plastic shim that goes in here, because you want the toe of this foot to wind up just inside here. You don't want it to contact it when you clamp this down, or else it's going to bind. So it just goes on like this. This one's rated for use with an impact wrench, which makes it awfully nice and much quicker than a manual one. Well, get on there. And then you just take this and voila, it popped it off the bead. It's down in the step now. You just have to work around the tire with it, pop it off. No beating required. That's new for me. I'm used to beating on them. That's all there is to it. I put it in 3 or 4 spots. I think 4. And that was enough to pop it all loose. I can still remember the last set of tires I took off of this when I bought it. I think I had to cut them off with a Sawzall. Yeah, because they were glued to the bead so bad. This device should help me a lot. Release that tube. I'm going to break the bead on the inside as well, because I want to, I think, take the tire off to see how the rim is. We got her beat now. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of fluid left in here. This tube's been patched. I thought I replaced the tubes. That's weird. I got the tube laid out here, and I think I could probably suck the rest of it out with a pump now. So we'll try. There's quite a bit in there. Hang up there. Yep, it's coming out now. Well, that's about all I'm going to get out of it. That's pretty good. This is a 2-piece valve. 218A? I can't remember the number. For filling with liquid. Well, let's see if I got enough grunt left in me to finish taking this tire off, and then I'm going in and watching college football. I feel like I'm on the verge of something really great happening. I'm not sure what it is. I'm thinking it might involve this tire. I should have put tire soap on it before I started taking it off. That would have been wise. There we go. Let's see where this tube was leaking. It's been patched a bunch of times. I know I didn't do these patches, and I know I put the tires on this tractor, so I can't believe I would have reused an old tube, but maybe I did. Soapy water. Well, I can hear you, but I can't see you. Yeah, my ears were deceiving me. It's right there. Little hole. I don't hear anything if I close that one up. Nope, just that little hole right over there. And that hole is about 6 inches clockwise of the valve stem. There's crud in here, but nothing real sharp. Another fine morning. I came in the shop this morning to get this ready to clean off and start painting, and noticed, well, I expected this. A big pool of hydraulic oil underneath where these are leaking. I'm going to fix that. But I was surprised to see this. Engine oil coming out of the front main seal here around the crankshaft pulley. Yeah, those are a bugger to replace. I bought this tractor not too long after we had started farming, and I needed it in service. I was baling hay with the Farmall 8 square bales without a live PTO and all that, and I wanted to pull a wagon, have a thrower on the baler, and I needed more horsepower, and I needed this. So I pulled it into the shop and I did kind of a quickie restoration. I did an in-frame rebuild on the engine, fixed the steering issues I talked about, replaced the tires, and I didn't pull the engine out, I just did the in-frame. Didn't replace the front main seal. Didn't get into the transmission. Transmission's fine, torque amplifier works great. Front main seal, that's a lot of work to fix. Scope creep always comes in, right? I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Punt, save it for later. In order to replace that main seal up in here, I have to take the loader off, which I'd planned on doing anyway to paint it. And I have to take the sheet metal off, the radiator. I don't think the front bolster has to come off. I'm not sure. I gotta, pull that crankshaft pulley, take the water pump off, take the governor off, take the front timing cover off. It's a lot of work. The rim's in good shape after cleaning the rust and debris off of it. No sharp edges that I can see. I'm going to use this. This is Core Seal, and this is a rust converter. It actually converts any rust that's left on this into a primer type finish before I put paint on. That 1 gallon can is the only one I've ever owned, and I've done a lot of projects with it. It seems to not take a lot to do the job. And when it works, it turns black. It turns the rust black. That's the chemical reaction. There we go. You can see where I started here. It already has turned a dark blue on its way to black. And that was a less rusty area, so it didn't convert color so much. It's pretty cool stuff. Day 3, rust converter is dry. It's black now. That tells you it's did its job. I had to go back and recoat a couple pitted areas where the rust still came through. black Rust-Oleum paint. Why black? Because I had it left over from painting the 856 rear axles. Yesterday afternoon I ordered the joystick valve and the Power Beyond plate, and they are coming in the mail. Let's see, what else did I do? I bought a Hitran. I'm going to change the fluid and oil, and I'm not going to finish this in this video. I got to wait for the stuff to come. I went back and forth about whether to just seal up the hydraulic stack where it's leaking and saying good enough and continuing with the valves I have, but you know, I've done that enough times on this and other tractors to just bite the bullet and buy the joystick valve because I know it'll work great, and I'll thank myself down the road. So that's where we are. The tube for this is coming in the mail today, but I got to let this paint dry, so it'll probably be tomorrow or the next day. 2 days to let the paint dry would be best, probably, before I put it back together. Here we go. Rust-Oleum always covers nice. That's as far as I can go on the 504 for now, and it's a nice day out, so I'm going to find something else to do. And I have just a thing in mind, working with tractors instead of working on tractors. Yep, this needs to be cleaned out. This old 656 is dirty, but I figure that's okay for cleaning manure out of a barn. The big problem with her is she goes through antifreeze by the gallon. I am debating what to do with this tractor. Cylinder head issues are pretty common on these 282s. I love the sound of a good running diesel. It's tempting to rebuild it, but I have a rebuilt gas engine that came out of this originally that I could just put back in it. I don't use this tractor except for cleaning out manure pens and doing odd loader work with it. I don't do field work anymore really with it. Maybe I should do that, put the gas engine in it. While I'm screwing around here with the tractor, I want to show you this. This tractor has a joystick here and a Power Beyond plate here. The Power Beyond plate just goes on the end of the valve stack, and it's got a supply out. And then you hook up the loader lines to the joystick. And then this tractor had a port in the transmission or the rear end case here to dump the return back into. But you can get a Power Beyond plate that's got 2 holes, and that's what I have coming for supply and return. Tractor fluids are topped off and we're ready to roll. This stuff smells awesome. It's been composting in here really since February. I'm not kidding, it smells sweet. Yep, sweet. This cattle barn addition has been money well spent for us. It's so much easier to feed in the wintertime straight off the pile without ever going outside. And it's so easy to clean out. It only takes me a few hours. And now I've got this manure laydown area set up so it stays dry, because I've got this L-shaped ditch that runs around, catches the water from the pole barn, comes over here, has a sump in the end, which is kind of grown up now, and then gets into this drainage system that goes down here, and any manure stuff that gets into it is filtered down at the detention area. Folks over the years have asked about a zillion times why I don't put this directly in the spreader and take it out to the fields. And I got a couple reasons. Number one, I'm going to catch more nutrients in this as it decomposes and less going out to the atmosphere in a pile versus sprout out on a field raw. Reason number two is I don't have any crop fields. Crop fields is in corn or soybeans or anything like that to spread them on. I've got pasture, which the cows are currently eating off of. I'm not spreading manure on pastures that they're still going to graze this fall. So it sits here until spring while the cows are still in the winter quarters, goes out on the field well before they start grazing. And when I do the midwinter clean out, I would never spread manure directly on frozen fields where runoff is a concern. And I have to get the pen cleaned out in less than a day because the cattle got to come back in here and eat and drink. So it's not like I can spend a few days hauling manure out load by load in the manure spreader. Pen is clean. Edge is cleaned. We still got to do that over there, the chaff from a year's worth of hay feeding, but not today. We're on our way, Hil. Another job done.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to believe we did that by hand back in the day.
We did. When we started farming, we filled the old little manure spreader by hand out of the other barn. Not anymore. The 504 is an interesting project, and it really keeps me going when I have something unique to do, I guess. And I'm not faced with painting and going through a whole tractor. Doing little fix-it jobs is fun work. I hope you enjoyed it. It's just going to continue in the next bunch of videos. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Is that all right?
I think so.